A very good afternoon and welcome to this edition of Yes 101 Visual Radio for the Newsfirst team. I'm Kenza Farooq. Now, before we take a look at your news in detail, let's take a look at your headlines.
News First headline.
In your top local story, CBSL has decided to maintain policy interest rates at their current levels. Sri Lanka and Russia to discuss alleged trafficking of ex-military personnel for Ukraine war. Teachers and university staff Gramani Ladari step up protest with new actions. In your international news, India's space startup calls off maiden rocket launch for a fourth time. And finally, in your sports, England captain to miss third T20I against Pakistan in Cardiff for birth of third child. Now your news in detail. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka has decided to maintain policy interest rates at their current levels. Standing deposit facility rate at 8.5%, standing lending facility rate at 9.5%, statutory reserve ratio at 2%. The board arrived at this decision after carefully assessing the current and expected macroeconomic developments and possible risks on the domestic and global fronts, with a view to maintaining of inflation at the targeted level of 5% over the medium term, while supporting the economy to reach its potential. The Monetary Policy Board observed the need to a further reduction in market lending interest rates, in line with policy interest rates and other benchmark interest rates, which is imperative for the easing of domestic monetary conditions and domestic economic recovery. Accordingly, the board re-emphasized the need to pass the benefits of eased monetary conditions to the borrowers without further delay. Headline inflation is expected to converge to the targeted level over the medium term despite transitory volatiles. In more local news, in response to Sri Lanka's request, Russia has agreed to engage in discussions on trafficking of retired Sri Lankan military personnel for the Russia-Ukraine war. State Minister of Foreign Affairs Sarika Balasuriya said that a date for the talks hasn't been set yet. However, a Sri Lankan delegation will travel to Russia once the date is confirmed. According to the State Minister, teams from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Ministry of Defence will be deployed. Meanwhile, 4 people have been arrested so far in connection with trafficking retired Sri Lanka military personnel for the Russia-Ukraine war. Complaints regarding the human trafficking of retired military personnel for the Russia-Ukraine war have surged to 473 from 9th May to date. The Ministry of Defence established a special unit on the 9th of May to provide information regarding this human trafficking incident. Accordingly, information can be provided to the Ministry of Defence on the hotline 011 244 1146. A teacher-principal trade union action against ongoing wage anomalies concerns is underway. Venerable Ulapani Sumangala Thera, convener of the National Coalition Against Teacher-Principal Salary Anomalies, says that the steps will be taken to send 100,000 messages via WhatsApp to educational authorities without any disruption to the educational activities. Venerable Ulapani Sumangala Thera said that the trade union action will commence in a fresh way, ensuring that the students and the education in the country are not disrupted. Moving on to international news.
International news.
India's Agnikul Cosmos called off a test flight of its first rocket on Tuesday, seconds before it was due to launch, the fourth such cancellation in the last 3 months. Launches of India's second privately built rocket, and first using a combination of gas and liquid fuel, had been aborted 3 times before because of technical issues, including one flight that was cancelled about 90 seconds before liftoff. The launch schedule for 5:45 a.m. on Tuesday was first delayed less than 6 minutes before liftoff due to a technical glitch in the countdown activities, and officials set a new liftoff time of 9:25 a.m. And finally, in your sports news.
Sports news.
England captain Joss Buttler will miss Tuesday's T20I against Pakistan in Cardiff to be with his wife for the birth of their third child. Buttler led the way for England with 84 in the first innings of their 23-run win over the tourists in the second match of the series at Edgbaston on Saturday after the opening match in Leeds was abandoned without a ball being bowled. Vice-captain Moeen Ali is likely to take charge for the match at Sophia Gardens, while it remains to be seen whether Buttler will return for the fourth and final T20I of the series at the Oval on Thursday. And that brings us to the end of this edition of Yes 101 Visual Radio. Thank you for watching. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Kenza Farooq.